Hello guys, welcome back to our channel Dr. Mom. This particular video is a part of our Instagram live series wherein I discuss about the Montessori at home setup or how we can easily transition to a Montessori setup at our homes. If you are new to our channel, kindly subscribe to stay updated for the weekly videos that I upload. Also, you can be a part of our live by following me there and shooting your questions during the live. You can find the link of the Instagram profile on the description box below. Without any further delay, let us get directly into the video of the topic that I discussed in this particular live. As you all have requested, we shall talk today about setting up shelves and in a Montessori setup. Okay? So this is exactly not how I wanted to start the Montessori series. I wanted to keep talking about the Montessori shelves setting up at the end of the series. You're going to discuss about which age group, ma'am. I'm just going to give very general overview about setting up the shelves and how we can start on setting up shelves and what you think should be there for the shelf setup. And yeah, so like I was telling, I really do not want to focus just on the shelf. I wanted to talk about all the aspects of Montessori before going or jumping into the shelves. Because ideally, when we hear the word Montessori, all that comes to our mind is the shelf. Like, the Montessori shelf, like I saw such a beautiful picture on Instagram or you saw something on Pinterest and you just really want to replicate those shelves to your home. So what I would like to say is, like, rather than replicating those shelves, put your shelves in such a way that invite your child to play, that are totally focused or centered upon his interest. So at the end of the day, it is your child who is going to play with those things. So the activities can be focusing just upon their interest. So can we set up shelf for 7 years too? Definitely, you can set up shelf for any kid or any age. There is no particular deadline, like only to 3 years you can set it up or only to 6 years you can set up. It is a very generic. You can just set up for any age group. It all comes down to the interest of the child, like I said. And again and again, I just want to stress upon this important point that Montessori is not about shelf system. It is completely off the shelf. Everything, the home, preparing your home, preparing the environment, preparing yourself as a parent, that is important in raising a very happy and a self-sufficient child. So that is where it all comes down to. So please do not restrict yourself in setting up shelves, seeing Instagram beautiful shelves or seeing Pinterest shelves or seeing YouTube shelves. That's not how it is. In fact, this is the first time that I put up a video of our shelves and I got a huge response of it, like people asking me, a lot of DMs were there and a lot of queries upon the shelf related activities and the shelf related stuff. So I thought just give a brief introduction about shelving before we actually jump into the real Montessori topics in large. So coming to shelves, what exactly is the shelf system and why we have to follow the shelf? Basically, shelving is like, you just display the toys in such a way that the child is getting attracted to it, because the presentation of the toy should be in such a way that invites the child to play. You do not need lots of toys. Like, a lot of toys do not invite your kid. For your general information, I'll tell you, just 1 or 2 toy which is very effective in catching the interest and picking up the concentration of the child is all that is required to keep his interest and his time of play for a more fruitful and a longer time. So you do not need lot of toys on your shelf. Restrict it as minimum as possible. Like I have discussed in the previous live about the decluttering process. So if you could follow those decluttering steps, you would have reached to a stage now where you could have almost taken down a lot of toys which are like not age appropriate and not for your kid particularly, which has like not of his age and not of his interest currently. Because some toys the kid will have interest in some particular point of time, but as they grow they might lose those interest, or like as they master that activity they do not want to proceed with the same kind of toy for some time. So that is when toy rotation comes in help. So that is why they time and again say keep rotating your toys to keep the interest alive, to keep the spark alive in your kid. So that's it about toy rotation in a very short sentence. Keep rotating your toys according to the child's interest. If you are setting up shelves based on some particular theme, keep it according to the theme. So, and again about the shelf system, how we set up and what generally people prefer the cube shelves because it is very easy to see. It is very, like when the child enters the play zone, they can see those shelves, and in one shelf you see one particular activity or one particular tray. The child gets in, like inherent invitation for the child to go see the kit and play with it. So that's why they prefer on cubes thing. But like I said, to each our homes, we need not follow all the guidelines strictly. What we need to follow are the principles. So what exactly are the principles in setting up your shelves? So it comes to the age of the child. When your child is of a smaller age, like a crawling stage or just trying to stand up, you can put up shelves with just one rack. Like I'm having behind, you can see the shelf. It is from IKEA. It is a normal tea table, and you can use this thing for a child of 1 year or 2 year old. But when the child is little bit grown up, when you need to present more activities for the child, is when you can have some more bigger systems of things. We are still developing and working on getting some major or good shelves, but for now we are doing with this, and it's serving the purpose, so it's all that matters. And how do we set shelves for multiple kids? Like for example, I'm having a Hyan who's 3.5 and Mizan who's 2.5. So how do I set shelves from them? Do they come and intervene with each other toys? Yeah, definitely they do that. I actually have put up separate spaces. If you have watched my IGTV on the grid, I would have mentioned that the left side is for a Hyan and the right side is for Mizan. But it's not that they restrict themselves to one particular spot. They intermingle and interuse activities for each other. But that gives me a peace of mind to set the toys for that is appropriate for them, targeting that particular skill of theirs. So that's how generally I overlay the toys. But the general thing what you can try at your home, if you're having a single child, is to keep the toys of easy nature on the left side and move towards the right depending upon the difficulty. If there is a puzzle, a knob puzzle, which the child can do very easily, you can put it on the left side of the shelf. So it is like how you write. When the child is writing, you write from left to right. So that's how it is about the shelf also. So when the child sees, he will obviously see the left part of the thing, because if you're a right-handed, the brain dominance, it works in the opposite direction. So if you're a right-handed, then your left brain is going to be more dominant, and that is when the child is going to see to the left corner of the shelf. So you can place easy task there so that the child keeps moving towards the right side as he's able to complete the easier task to a more complex task. So this is about setting up the order of thing. And then like I said, if you are having a small kid, you can just have 1 or 2 shelves. But if you're having older kids, you can have multiple shelves depending upon the height of the child. It all comes down to the point where the child is able to see the shelf, the activities on the shelf, and tries to take it out and perform those activities in particular spot. So it's all about the spacing and the height. Everything should be in the level of the child, so you can just work it according to your homes. I'm using 2 normal nightstands here. One, it is serving the purpose of a table, so wherein they take their toys, like something of a worksheet writing or some puzzle thing. Sometimes they sit on the floor and do, but sometimes they do sit on those tables. If you can see, if you can see those tables, then they just sit there and they just keep themselves entertained. And I will also take a tour of this shelf, and compared to the shelf that I have posted on the grid, there are some modifications, because I was observing certain things that they have been not taking much interest in, so I just kind of swapped some toys. So that's it about your shelves. Also, you can just keep swapping toys depending upon the child's interest. And what are the activities that we keep for the child? The activities are very simple. What we keep are depending upon the different areas of growth that you want your child to attain. Like for example, the different areas of growth that we focus on upon the hand-eye coordination. For hand-eye coordination, you can keep 1 activity or 2 activity. Similarly, you can have a sensory skill. Like I have set out clay and the kinetic sand for this month, but I will be rotating depending upon the child's interest. Like if he is not showing interest, then I might swap it with something else. And then you're having language-based shelves where you have to keep something just focusing upon the language that you're trying to teach the child. Again, a literacy corner wherein you're trying to introduce English or any other thing depending upon the age of your kid. Okay, so basically you can note down the hand-eye coordination skill, the fine motor skill for all age groups. The child, there are a lot of activities for fine motor. Now if you can see my YouTube channel, I have a separate video for fine motor skills before pre-writing. So when you have a small kid and you're focusing upon writing, so rather than jumping right into writing skill, you can try pre-writing skills that focus more upon fine motor skills. So definitely you need to keep 1 or 2 fine motor activities on the shelf depending upon the interest of that particular time period of the child. Then most important in Montessori setup is practical life skills. So we almost all the time need to keep 1 or 2 trays dedicated to the the practical skills, like pouring, scooping, and buttoning, zipping, things of those kind. And we can have sensory setup, practical life skills, fine motor skills, then hand-eye coordination, sensory, like I said, and then art is a very important thing that we generally neglect, and kids are actually inherently attracted towards beautiful pictures of nature. So tapping the interest of your child, you need to keep things of those genre also. It is the most important. And music, and we also generally try to neglect musical toys, and like neglect in sense not get the appropriate Montessori musical toys for kids. What we get are the most battery operated things, like when you just press a button and it performs the action and the child just has to sit and gaze through the instrument. So that's not how it is. You can get drums, you can get xylophones or triangles or cymbals or anything of that kind, wherein the child has to do something to hear the music. Or you can simply take a small box, or a small box, and you can just put coins in this, or rice in this, and seal the boxes, cylindrical boxes, and allow the child to just rotate, just move around and hear the noises. So it's all about the child doing something rather than the battery operated machine doing something. So that's it. And depending upon the age, if it is an elder kid, you can try and keep out science related activities, you can keep out geography related activities. So it's like completely child oriented. Follow the child according to the topics that you are covering with him. You can try to keep those things. And another thing is the Montessori shelves. We use a lot of these trays. I do have a couple of these trays, but you can see in my shelf I haven't used any of these trays. The simple reason, because I thought this is more space consuming, wherein I can just keep one activity in this tray. Because I have a smaller shelf. Probably if I have big shelves I can use this, but this is taking a lot of space. The concept of having these trays in a Montessori school is very simple, because it teaches the child orientation and order. Because the child, there is a word called activity cycle. See, we think the child just plays with the toy, throws the toy, and done with the activity. So that's not how we train in Montessori schools. In Montessori schools, what is trained is the child is first told to pick up the tray. So the child actually learns to grasp the tray and hold it according to the weight of the tray. Hold it, bring it down to the place where he wants to perform the activity. Sit down, put a mat, sit on the mat, and take out the activity. For example, if I'm having a puzzle here, or if I'm having any kind of toy, the child has to work upon the toy, keep it down and work. And when it is done, the activity is not done. We teach them that the things go back here, and they just go back to the shelf from where the child took. So everything has a place, and a place for everything. That is what is focusing upon these things. You always need not have these wooden trays, because sometimes they are costly, and sometimes, like I said, they don't fit on the shelves. So what I'm currently using, I'm just using normal bowls, plastic bowls. You can use plastic bowls. Montessori method prefers using natural made stuff, because natural stuff, they build a kind of inclination towards the kid. Some oven bowls or anything of that kind, you can not use only all that. Like I said in the previous video about organization, like I used to even use the shoe boxes to keep things sorted, organization, shoebox lids, and you just can do anything. Sometimes I even keep the transparent box lids. This box is small, but a bigger box lid, these lids also I keep it on the table. So it's all about presenting a toy to the child in such a way that it invites them to play with those things. And if you're not having this cube kind of system, then like this what I'm having, you just need to space out the activities in such a way that each activity is distinct. So there is one thing here. So there should be an invisible demarcation for the child to see through that this is a separate and this is separate. So then is when he will be able to choose one of the activity and pick this or this. So you always need to segregate and keep in a way the child can see, and it should be decluttered. It should not be very much clutterful that the child finds it very much annoying to just like it is a kind of a mess. The child needs something that is more neat and tidy. Children are basically they themselves are born and they are like in a sense of order for a long period of time. If you read Montessori notes, you will know about there is separate sense period that we go through, schemas we go through, and one of them is sense of order, sensory period of order, wherein the child tries to lay down everything in particular schemas. So coming back to the systems, where using natural materials like wooden trays or baskets and one skill in a tray. So you just focus on one skill. Like I would have told you in my previous video, if you have seen my block video, wherein I say that I generally prefer using multiple kind of information stuffed in one toy, because I used to do that, seeing the potential of my kids, because I thought that we could be multiple usage of a toy. But when you observe the child, when I have particularly observed the child, when he is playing the blocks, he will only be playing the blocks. There are a lot of blocks wherein I have stuck stickers of fruits and vegetables, but the child's focus does not divert there. The concept of just keeping one skill at a time is to avoid any kind of distraction for the kids. So if you feel that your child is not able to concentrate on one particular activity, then it's better to just keep it focused to one particular skill that you want the child to focus, not just clutter with a lot of things. And I actually have used both the systems, and both the systems are kind of working fine with me, so it's not an issue. I said focus on one skill at a time, and you might see that kids will try to do some kind of activity repeatedly, though you know that they must have mastered the activity, but still you see that they have been doing it repeatedly. Why is that they're doing repeatedly? Because that gives them a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment that they're able to perform this activity without anybody's help. Another thing that you need to remember is when the child is working frequently on the same thing, he's building a lot of neuronal connections in his brain. So ultimately it is working for his better good. Just if you see that the child is able to perform something again and again, and if you feel that why is he playing just with this toy again and again, it is not a very wise decision for you to take it out of rotation and swap it with some other toy. Just try to observe the child, whether he truly likes the toy that he wants to play with it repeatedly. For example, I have kept the wooden blocks, but I have been observing for the past couple of days, both of them, they are not playing with wooden blocks. I do not know, they generally love to play with the blocks. They build a lot of things with the blocks, but right now I'm observing that they are not showing much inclination towards it. So probably I will wait for a couple of days or even a week, and if they are really not showing interest, then I will swap it with the other blocks that they have, the Legos, because they snap perfectly enough. So what you set on your shelf is not something that is going to stay constant. Like even if you think that this shelf is going to last for a week, it doesn't mean that all the toys in that shelf need to be there for the week. If you do have the time, if you can afford the patience to sit and observe the child, and you're observing that some particular activity is not being touched, either it could be because the child has outgrown the thing, that he feels that he has mastered the activity, he does not want to do it again, or he feels that like it is too much high for himself, like he cannot do that. So that is when you try to swap the toys. Do not make swapping very common, like don't swap toy every other day. Just observe for a couple of days, and if needed then swap. So that is one thing that I have found useful. Like just don't try to invest so much on Montessori trays and things that beautify the shelf, because at the end of the day it is not the shelves that going to matter, it is how your child is playing with all those toys. And with the trays, when you're using baskets, avoid large kind of bins. Those are particular cuboidal bins, because when you dump in a toy, it goes deep inside, and it is very frustrating for the child to dig through and find the particular toy that he wants. And also when you're having baskets and bowls, don't make it very deep so that the child cannot see. So when he enters the playroom, he needs to see what is there in the basket. If it is very deep, the child cannot visualize. So if a child cannot visualize something, he definitely cannot pick it up and play with it. So you just have to keep it very shallow so the child can see and they play with it. And another thing about puzzles, and a lot of people, they just keep it stacked up, fully sorted puzzles. So that's not how it is. That will definitely not invite a child, because if a child sees a completely fixed puzzle, he will not feel to break it apart and fix it back again. So the best way to keep it for the child inviting for him to play is to open out the puzzles and lay it out in the basket or in the tray, so that the child can take the board, and then he can take the bowl, and then he can try to match the puzzle or match the matching activity or whatever kind of things you're keeping. So whatever is in the shelf has to be undone. It should not be in a done state for the child to undo and do. It has to be in an undone but in an orderly fashion, so that the child can see, get interested, pick it up, perform, and keep it back. So again and again you reinforce the child to keep it back. So that is how he will develop the things going back in place kind of thought. Otherwise they'll just keep it everywhere and they will not mind to keep it back things, and the cleanup process becomes huge. It is depending upon the themes. And how many activities in the shelf? You can concentrate around like roughly 10 for somebody who's under 1 year old. Like for infants, probably 8 to 10 activities, and for older kids up 14. But like I said, don't overdo the activities, and do not keep worksheets on the shelf, because I have observed, probably because they are two, they just try to take it, and Mizan will try to encroach his worksheet and try to scribble between, and he gets frustrated that he's not able to perform on the worksheets. So worksheets I have kept in the drawers for them, so that they can just pull it out, take out their set of worksheet and work upon them. Because if everything is open for the child to just go and play, then because they are two, they just try to encroach upon each other's activities, and like they just disturb each other a lot. And shelves keep changing time and again depending upon the interest of the child, so nothing is fixed, so don't have that notion. So I will just give a short tour of this shelf and the little room that we are having for the play. And it is not completely done, we are actually keep on renovating something or the other. So as and when things are done, I will be updating on the grid or on stories. So for now, let's see this. So this is the latest edition that I just stuck in ABC stickers. It was lying there for a long time, so I just stuck it here so that they can read through, because Mizan is still not very much thorough with the alphabet, so we have just kept it. And like I said, this is one A4 sheet pouch that I have kept, wherein I kept changing the pouches depending upon the charts that what I wanted them to study. You can either use frames and you can just nail it up to the wall, but then I found this system to be better. And this is the ant painting that Ahyan had done today morning. Since he painted it, I just put it out here. I would like to tell everybody to try and display whichever art material that your kid is doing, for him to develop more interest and love, and he feels more recognized. So that's it about the art thing. And these are some of the DIYs that I had done previously, and I just took it out because they were particular to the shelf that we are following. So this is the hexagon shape that we had learned back again, but the concept of that was about the honeybee homes, so that we have, and the sticker books. And then we are having this life cycle puzzle that I had made from wooden logs, and I've just kept it for them to match, because we are reading about caterpillars, and this is about the ladybugs. It is from a toy. It was broken, and I just kept it here for them to understand the patterns. And then I think I showed all this before, the language and the literacy shelf thing. And then this I had swapped with another toy, because we are doing about worms. I thought we'll keep this. This is about weaving activity that I had done. It is a complete DIY thing, and you just have to lace in here around, weave around. So I just took it out, and this is a little complex, which Mizan cannot do, and Ahyan is still learning, not very thorough. And this is the color wheel, the flag thing, and then these are the puzzles for fraction, the puzzles, the tangram. Like I said, I just use normal lids, I do not have high fancy trays for all the activities, so just the lid, and this is done. And then this is like the prayer mats. They just pray and just keep it back here in Mizan's corner. His book and a spider art that we did a few days ago again comes back here, and this is it. I do have a small basket where we store their balls and bat for them to play around, and this is a small thing which keeps breaking up again and again. It is to just swipe clean things that they just mess around. So the other shelves I have already shown in the video. I just changed into some more baskets like this. I have to see for some smaller ones, because I feel this is quite big, and I think I'll be going shopping to get something smaller ones. And this is it. And here, so about practical life skill, I just keep all those trays here. And this is about the plants. We do not have much of a plants here, but I'm just keeping few for them to water it daily. And this is a nature tray that we use to collect items when we go down. They just collect something and come. Ahyan had got this today for me, a flower, and once they are dried out, we just discard them. So some nature materials that we have here, and again the nature things that we study. This was about the water cycle, wherein we were trying to track down the level of water. So you can see the dates wherein the water, we had poured the full water here on 14th of November, and how it is trying to get evaporated. So this is it. And we had done a life cycle activity here, but when we had gone to a trip, sadly the plants died, and we had to put in new seeds. And this is their area where concentrating on the gross motor activity. They just try to swing and slide. And this is the room, guys. But yeah, most of the time it is not that clean, but today luckily it was clean, so I thought I'll just pop in today itself for the video. And this is the chart for me, my understanding what I have to rotate and keep, what are the activities that we need to focus upon on that particular interest. And again 1 to 100 no counting for Ahyan, and some of the toys here. And I do keep some of the DIYs here depending upon the subjects. Like for example, this is science and this is max, and these are for Mizan, all the small fine motor activity stuff, DIYs that I keep. So a lot of key things get added over there and removed. So this is in general about our toy room, and all are stored here. Most of the toys are stored here, and since people keep asking about how I organize them, I would like to show a tour of this also in this live. So I just have stickers here depicting what are the things that you can find inside. So here are the puzzles. All our puzzles are here in this, and the animal figurines, extra ones, the sea animals, the dinos, you know, the puzzle things that I have DIYed, things that we get from shop. So all of it goes here. And these are all the flashcard storage systems. Like you can see, I am actually planning to put all of these in Ziplocs, but for now we are having all like this here. And these are some of the other bulkier toys that I keep, the bigger ones. And here you can see this is for language and max. This drawer is having all of those kind of thing. I just put all the coins and counters in these kind of boxes for them. And then here is like particularly a junk drawer where you can find a lot of different activities like the hand-eye coordination and fine motor oriented stuff. So this is it about this drawer. So that's it about our toy room for today and about the organization. So let me know guys how it is, and if I have answered all your questions and queries regarding the shelf. I have tried to put in all the points here, but then I would also be doing a detailed study of how the shelving should be and how we sort it more organized way, and how we need to focus and follow on the child and try to keep those child oriented things on the shelves. But for that the series has to go. I need to concentrate on the other aspects of the house, like I have to discuss about the bedroom spaces, about the kitchen spaces, about the drawing room spaces. So only when I finish everything I will be doing the tour of the playroom again, because like I said, all these are not very important. What is most important is to prepare your home for your child. Shelf is secondary, tertiary also. So shelf is just basically giving the child the idea and the more of motivation to perform in particular aspects. But overall the child is not just going to stay around the shelf throughout the day. He is going to move throughout the house. So preparing the house is more important than preparing the shelf. So this is something that you all have to know and just keep telling yourself again and again. Shelves can wait, but your thoughts cannot, and you'll have to change the thought process of how it is about the Montessori setup and try to bring in more of gentle parenting inside. Most probably I think every weekends we will be live on Saturdays, and if you have any other requests, do let me know. I will try to address them as soon as possible. And like people asked me about linking the toys or tagging the Instagram handles from where I have got those particular toys or books. Guys, I will try to edit that post and try to include of it. But most of the toys, in fact all of the toys are DIY'd, and you can actually easily do it by yourself, or if not then you can go to my Amazon storefront link and you can find all of the toys there. Almost all of the toys that I have DIY'd you can find on Amazon, linked in my storefront. And if you're interested in trying out DIYs for your kids, I have workshops focusing on how to do those DIYs easily. So if you'd be interested, then you can DM me. Probably next month or so we'll be starting with the workshops for DIYs, so that y'all can do it. Main concept of doing it was to customize it for my kid, because what interests my kids and what I want them to do, what I wanted them to focus were not available in the toys that I had around. So I just started to put kind of innovative in my innovation in some toys and got it customized for them as DIYs. So if you're having that thought, or if you even think that toys are costlier, then you can definitely try to do DIYs. So I will be there to guide you during the workshops and share with you my inputs of how to do DIYs, like what are the materials you require, how to go about doing a DIY, and how you can start from a simple to a complex DIY, and some hacks so that your DIY stays longer. So that's it. I will be talking in those workshops, so you can just register for those shops when I put up the link, probably next month. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching the video, and do subscribe to our channel to stay updated for upcoming videos on this current series. Have a good day, guys. Bye bye.